Hi, butterflies. It's Lucy Pritchett here, and I'm here again to share a magical story with you. This is our fourth one, and I'm just sharing this with how magic can show up in everyone's lives. And I'm sharing these because the reason that I live my life and do the work that I do is to illuminate the path of soul love so that others can create a life of magic. And so continue sharing one a month, either from me, a friend, or maybe even you. So if you have a magical story to share, I'd love to have you on video, or you can share it with me and I will then share it out into the world. Today I have Sarah Graham with me. Sarah, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Sarah and I have known each other almost 2 years now. We are in the same sister circle, still going strong. And we also work together as coaches. So we've coached each other back and forth. We know each other very well. And Sarah is a queen manifester and also an amazing person to bring magic into her life and also share magic out into the world. And I'm so excited to have you here today, Sarah.
Me too. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So let's jump right in. So what does magic mean to you, or how would you define what a magical moment is?
For me, it's a little broad, I think. It's not just, for me, magic is really about that moment when you sense that something outside yourself, something larger than yourself, sort of speaking directly to you. You know, you're having this intimate dialogue. And for me, that's really what magic is. And it shows up in, all kinds of ways that are very, very tiny, and really personal, and things that you might only understand, that might even be difficult for you to articulate to somebody else, to much larger events that can happen in your life to really shift your path. So I think magic can be found in everyday moments, and things that are much larger. And for me, I think the most of the time in daily moments when I'm experiencing magic is when I've allowed the space for it. So giving myself quiet time, and allowing for that magic to show up, because when I'm really busy and I'm just sort of pushing through my daily life, I noticed I miss a lot of those things, even though it's still coming in, because I think magic is around us all the time. My higher self, my spirit, or God, whatever we want to call it, is around us all the time. But if we're not being quiet and paying attention, a lot of that magic can get missed.
Yeah, totally. I feel like you have to slow down and, like, strangely enough, like, pay attention, but not like too much attention.
Yeah. If you're looking for it, you're not going to see
it. I mean, you kind of have to look around to see like where the magic could be, but like not really expect it totally. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like a weird little thing, a weird little game to play with magic sometimes. But I love that idea, the sense of something larger and having an intimate dialogue with that larger aspect of the world. That's such a beautiful thing, intimate dialogue. I love that. And also that it can be path shifting, big or small. And you just have to allow that space for it to be there. And that space comes when we can slow down, maybe even in meditation, or when we walk a little slower and we notice like a penny on the ground or something like that. So, if you were to consider some examples of magic in general, what would you say?
Oh, I think like some of my favorite moments happen out in the forest.
Okay.
When I'm out in nature, that's like for me, everything about the natural world is magical. Like that is just an example of the divine to me. So whether it's just admiring the plants or seeing an animal, just thinking about, for me, just thinking about what is going on beneath the soil and how the trees
Mm.
speak to each other through their roots and all of the activity that's going on, to me, that's really just that is magical, you know?
Mm.
And if I were to get specific about some magical moments, I would say like a couple months ago while I was living in my camper in Alabama, I actually had this butterfly that continued to show up like, every day for like 2 weeks. Like it lived somewhere near, which I've never experienced that before, you know. Butterflies
Mm.
flutter in and out, but this one came and visited me every day and would like land on my foot while I was journaling, or land on my chair or something like that. And it was beautiful. It was this big, like purple and blue butterfly, and that was really special. That was for me sort of like the soft little, it was almost like a hand on my shoulder saying,
Mm.
still here, like, you know, don't worry, I'm still here. Like you're not alone out in the world.
Oh.
And that was definitely magical for me during that time. Other things like one of my favorites is when I'm heading to the grocery store and I'm really hopeful about getting a parking space up front, and it just so happens that somebody's pulling out so that I can pull in. And there's a cup
Nice.
right there for me to grab. Like that to me is magic. That's like daily magic.
Yeah, I love that. So fun, isn't it? It's like
Oh,
fun
absolutely.
when that stuff happens.
Oh yeah, exactly. And right, it's like almost playful. Like that's like a playful kind of magic, or you know, going through the toll booth and somebody ahead has paid, you know, for the
Mm.
toll for me or something like that. Like to me, those are just small, sort of playful, magical moments that just make me smile, and that's what's, you know, more beautiful than that.
Yay.
Yeah. um, some other magical moments. I think a lot of magic happens in my dreams. That's
Mm.
another place that I like to pay attention to, as far as allowing that to happen. Um, and like I've woken up giggling in my sleep before, and or or even I've woken up crying before, you know, but something has
Mm.
shifted, you know, through my sleep, something that I couldn't
Mm.
really process while I was awake. And for me,
Mm.
that's an example of magic, about how beautiful our unconscious and our conscious can work together, and how we don't always have to be you know, working at something like, you know, working at healing. It can,
Mm.
if we just say, you know, I need this, or I'm wanting to
Mm.
heal this, and you know, it can happen in our sleep. And for me, that's really a sign of magic for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. There's so much symbolism in our dreams, and you just never know what might come out of that. Um, Having a dream and like how your perception can change or your perspective can change.
Oh yes,
So
definitely.
beautiful.
Yeah, it happens for me a lot. And the trick of that
Good.
is getting up and writing some notes before I like even leave the bed if I can.
Yeah.
'Cause otherwise that stuff starts to slip away. But yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, are there any symbols that you find magical?
Well, butterflies are definitely a magical symbol for me now.
Yay!
And maybe you were sending that one to me, but that was a Lucy butterfly hanging out with me.
Hey.
Yeah, any animals, especially birds. Birds, I love birds. It's not anything like I was born with loving birds is sort of this thing that I developed over time, and realized like I'm into birds. Like I wasn't
Cool.
even kind of aware of that, but yeah, birds are big for me. So like a woodpecker or something, if that shows up in
Mm-hmm.
my path, I think, oh, like that's really, really special. So yeah, I love feathers and I love birds. And those for me are always really magical symbols. That's probably my biggest one. All
Mm-hmm.
animal symbols are really magical for me. That's something I pay close attention to. Deer show up a lot for me. Of course, wolves are magical, as our sister circle is the wolf circle.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so those are those things.
Awesome.
Other, go ahead.
No, it's just, that's awesome. That's good.
Yeah,
And animals come with a lot of symbolism too, which you can Google some
yeah.
symbolism of animals, and there's books out there too. So yeah, that can be really meaningful when they cross your path.
hmm Yeah, something I pay a lot of attention to. Yeah, anything from
Awesome.
the natural world, I would say, is for me is a way that a spirit communicates with me, because it's
Mhm.
something that I really love, and I pay close attention to. And actually, I have this acorn top sitting here with me. So acorns are kind of a thing. Like
Mhm.
when I first started meditating years ago, they kept showing up in my meditations.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so I hang on to acorns or acorn tops, and this one happened to be right in my path when I was having a walk the other day, and like right there for me. So of course I picked that up and kept it with me.
Nice. So fun. Nature is so fun.
hmm It is.
And then, did you have a specific magical story you wanted to share today?
Yes, um, I do.
Yeah.
Um, there's so many. It's hard to pick one.
I know. Well, you can always come back. You can
Yes, I
share
can come
a
back.
different one next time.
Um, so I think I'll actually share one I haven't talked about a lot, around my dog. So I had a very, very special and close relationship with my dog, Autumn, who had to be put to rest last year at 10. And I mean, she really was like just my best friend. And I never, when I adopted her, I was like not going to become one of those dog people, you know, and I totally became one of those dog people.
It's hard not to do.
Yeah. And just really fell in love with her, you know, and we really had a kindred spirit. And as she got sick, which was very hard to watch, that whole process was really difficult. And I never thought that I would have to make the decision about having to put her to sleep, as you
Mhm.
know, to ease her pain, which was just, oh gosh, it was really difficult process. So I went through that process, and then because it was winter, I had her cremated as opposed to being buried, and I had to go pick up her ashes. Which, you know, in this whole like 2 week period that this is going on, I'm like never thought I would be in this kind of situation, sort of walking around a bit in a haze about the whole thing. So I
Mhm.
go to the vet's office to pick up her ashes. And one thing about Autumn was that she loved snow, which was funny because she was a short-haired dog, but she loved the snow. Like her snow was magical, you know. And that was something that we shared. She helped me fall in love with the forest in winter. You know, I live in New England. Winter spans a lot of the month.
Yeah.
And I've never been much of a winter person until the last couple years of her life, when we would be out in the woods together. And she was the reason for me to get out a lot. And so we shared really beautiful, magical moments out in the quiet, in the woods in the winter. So it's actually a very clear day when I go to pick her up. It's sort of towards the tail end of winter here, closer to April. And I
Mhm.
go into the office, sunny day, beautiful sunny day, and I come out of the office and there is a snow squall. It's like I'm inside
What?
like a snow globe. I mean, it was just, and I just stood on the porch
Wow.
holding her box of ashes and like the, the whole little thing that they give you, and kind of in this daze about like, my dog used to be this big and now I have this little box, and crying, and I'm
Oh.
wrapped up in the snow that's all blowing around, with the sun shining. It was just a very strange, and it was isolated to that one place, because later on it was like very strange little snow squall happens in Deerfield, New Hampshire, like isolated to that one event. And then just, tears of allowing that grief to fall out, and the magic of her love coming in, like her letting me know, like, hey, it's okay, and here's a little gift. Don't forget about how much fun that we had in the snow, and think of that instead. And then I get in the car and I turn the car on, and the song comes across the radio, that reminded me of her too. And it just made me laugh, and that playfulness that is her essence and her energy. So that's definitely an example of magic that shows up for me in my life.
Very much so.
Yeah.
You made me cry. That's so cute and sweet.
And yeah, and Autumn has continued to show up. She reminds me, in just simple, small, little ways every now and again when I need it. And I'm really thankful for that. So yeah, definitely an example of that.
So sweet. I love that. And I love the fact that it was like a snow globe. It wasn't just like, it was snowing. It was like blowing all around, like you were in a snow globe. Like, that is such a picture. And, snow globes are so like playful and fun and magical too. Like, they can be like a magical symbol as well.
Yeah.
That's just amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Sarah.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It feels good to share those things and be reminded of them. So,
Yay. Is there anything else you feel like you want to share in general around magic, or any last thoughts?
I think just to say again that it shows up in small and in big ways. And for me, I've noticed the more that I pause and show appreciation and recognize it and show appreciation for it, the more it continues to come, just like anything, like love or money or success or anything that we might talk about. The more gratitude that I show towards it and take the pause to just recognize it, the more that it comes in. And it always seems to come in right at the moment that I'm saying there's no magic. And be like, remember, there is. So
where's the magic? Here I am.
Here I am. Yeah. It's sometimes you just need to ask for it. Just ask, I need a little reminder today. Can you send some magic to me? And then just be open to receiving it. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for that reminder and that message. And if anyone just feels a vibe and drawn towards you, how can they reach out to you, and what is it that you actually do?
Yeah, so I'm a life coach. Obviously, I focus quite a lot on the spiritual. So that vibe, you could definitely reach me on Facebook at The Seeker's Workshop. And you can also reach me at souldesires@gmail.com. You can shoot me an email. I do one-on-one coaching, and your first session is always free. And I'm open to designing whatever my clients needs. So I love to just have a conversation about it and see what we can create together.
Great. Thank you for that. And so once again, if any of you out there have a magical story that you want to share, you feel free to send me a message, and I can either to read it, or you can hop on video with me like Sarah did today and share it yourself. No pressure, just fun. And that is the end of our little magical story sharing today. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you guys next month. Bye. Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye.